back, guys, to Unlikely Sisters, a tale of 5G Digital Naaris, powered by Third Bell Studio. I hope you guys have loved our previous podcast on my life with the Walter Boys. So, our today's podcast is about the Great Calcutta Killings. Imagine waking up one morning in Calcutta, the city you called home, and by evening your street is a war zone. Neighbors who shared food with you yesterday now chasing you with knives. Shops burning, temples smashed, mosques discarded, and blood flowing like rivers down College Street. This isn't fiction, this is the direct action day. The day when politics turned into slaughter, August 16, 1946, a day that changed the soul of Bengal, a date when Calcutta, the city of joy, turned into city of blood. 4 days of madness, thousand killings, a city soaked in blood, but it didn't end over there. Just 2 months later, Bengal was hit again in Noakhali, where a genocide unfolded in silence. This was not just some ordinary rite, it was a carefully planned event, and what followed was one of the bloodiest chapters in India's pre independence history, which we know as the Great Calcutta Killings. So, in our today's podcast, we dive deep into what happened, why it happened, and how it continues to haunt our present, history, and future. So, we bring you the chilling story of how politics, religion, and hate turned Bengal into a graveyard, and how these events paved the way for partition in 1947. So, here I am with my partner, Taurus Girl, to discuss about this. Over to you, Taurus Girl.
So I am pretty sure you all must have. Yes, first of all, welcome everybody to the podcast. And now I am pretty sure that you must have related this to the coming movie that's going to be releasing very soon, which is called the Bengal Files. So we'll be having like a discussion around it, like what happened, and as like Libra Girl has a little more insights on this, how the Noakhali attack happened, and what happened there because of her ancestors. So yes, over to you, Libra Girl.
Imagine back India in 1946 is a nation on edge. The British are leaving, but leaving at what cost? The Congress dreams of a united India. The Muslim League under Muhammad Ali Jinnah demands a homeland for the Muslims, Pakistan. Jinnah's word in July 1946 echoed like a warning shot. He said that we don't want war, but if we are forced, we shall launch direct action. India in 1946 was like a boiling pot, but instead of unity, the question came that who will rule India? The Muslim League was held by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and the Congress wanted a united India, as I mentioned before. So, in the middle stood Bengal, in which half Hindu, half Muslim, a powder keg waiting to explode. Direct Action Day, a phrase that would soon mean as mass death. Direct action wasn't meant to be a debate, it meant to show power, force, numbers, and strength. And Bengal, where Hindus and Muslims lived in nearly equal measure, was chosen as the stage. But we need to also remember, guys, that back in then, Bengal had already suffered from a very fragile great famine in 1943, where 3 million starved, poverty, hunger, and communal suspension all were tendered, waiting for a match. And on the morning of 16 August, the nightmares came true. Thousands of League supporters flooded the streets. Processions marched with green flags chanting the slogans in support of Pakistan. It started as a political demonstration, but soon the things turned deadly. By noon, the city of joy, Calcutta, was burning. The Muslim League declared a complete strike in Bengal, and Calcutta, the heart of India's politics, was chosen as the stage. According to us, if we think about Bengal, what comes in our mind first? Rabindranath Tagore, the literature, the music, the culture, the sweet language. But all of these things were shattered just because of communal tension, because of land, which was considered as a piece of land, but it was the lighthouse of India. What happened back in 1946? We youngsters, we the generation, we the future of India, we have no idea about it because we have never studied that in our history books. So, how will we even get to know? But my grandma, she was 15 years back then. She had an idea that this happened, and when she used to narrate the stories about her days back in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, she always narrated what happened on 16th August. It was all like a fiction story for me back then. But when I saw the trailer, when I came to know about the real history of India, I was shattered. I never had an idea, and it's shameful that the youth of India never had an idea about this history, this part of history. We all know that what happened in Punjab, what consequences, the amount of migration that happened from Amritsar to Lahore to Amritsar. We all know that. But very few of us know that what happened the year before the partition in Bengal. It was totally like a horror movie, beyond horror movie, to be honest. This direct action day was on a 4 day duration. The Muslim mobs stormed Hindu areas with knives and swords, and in retaliation, the Hindu groups also formed armies and struck back. Men were hacked to death and women were brutalized. Children thrown into fires, and the smell of burning flesh hung over the city. Vultures encircled overhead, and the Hooghly River carried the bodies downstream. This wasn't just a violence, this was a civil war in miniature. I still remember my grandmother, she used to narrate the stories of the direct action days. She was like, according to her, in her memories back then, she had seen vultures revolving, encircling around the areas of the Hooghly River where there were tons of dead bodies over there. And it used to feel like this isn't Calcutta because what she saw from the time she was born over there, it was totally changed. The city was totally damaged, discarded, slaughtered within 4 days. But yeah, I would say that we forget to mention about the heroes who saved us some or the other how. So there was another one hero which I would like to mention about. His name was Gopal Mukherjee, and back then in Bengal, after this direct action day, the way he saved not just the Hindus but also the Muslim women, the children who were abandoned, who were also the victims of this direct action day. He didn't just save the Hindu women from getting raped from the brutalization, he also saved the humanity over there. And there was a time when people used to scare even take his name. They used to whisper in each other's ears when there was a discussion about Gopal Mukherjee. He was from Calcutta, and his family owned a butcher shop. And the way he saved the Hindus, the Muslims, can be really horrifying. But what he did was, as in the procedure of retaliation, it was done. So we need to speak about these heroes who saved the humanity. Maybe if he wasn't there, then maybe more than half of the Bengalis won't have even survived back then, and maybe even we, the generation, we, the people, the future of India who belongs from Bengal would not existed in this future India. So that was from my side, guys. Over to you, Taurus Girl. I would like to hear your insight about.
Whatever Libragirl just said is like so interesting because to me, I do not know much about Bengal, and so seeing, like, listening to all this and how the riots and everything happened, seeing about the film, so like I can only speak about the film because I do not know like the proper insights and everything. I know I have heard how hard it was in like 1946, like the time between partition where Muslim and Hindu fights were like very common, and how in Kolkata it like triggered massive communal riots between Hindus and Muslim. The Action Day, which was August 16, 1946, and in just 3 days, over 4,000 people were killed, thousands injured, and many more left homeless. So it's like, I mean, one can't even imagine. If you're like, one who's like stayed there, you'd know a lot about it. I can just imagine and think like it must have been so worse that how would have people like, you know, survived, because it's not only when it's like Hindu and Muslim, it's like even in between the people who are already residing there, who have been residing there since they are birth. Also, it's like the feeling where you have to just leave your home and then you just feel that void. So I feel like this movie can actually give us that insight. I feel everybody should watch this movie because the releasing date is just before Bengal elections, which also makes it a little bit controversial, but nonetheless beneficial to like watch, because then you'll actually get to know that about Bengal and what happened and about Noakhali and everything. So yeah, that's from my side. Libra, go over to you.
Okay, so there was this one person who is my grandma's best friend. So I met her a few days back and I just had a really long conversation with her. During this conversation, I just even asked her about the direct action day, about the Noha Khali, and what I heard was that she said that I saw corpses lying in gutters, their throats were slit, and the whole city was a charnel house. We hid under the bed, holding our breath as the mob broke in, and they killed my father in front of my eyes. The direct action day had so many scars in her memory till now that had never got healed. So when the fires finally died after 4 days, the Bengal was broken forever. Nothing could be healed, and the trust between Muslims and Hindus. I mean, what I heard from my grandmas and their friends, there was a time when the neighbors used to live in a very brotherhood way, the Hindus and the Muslims. They used to have a really good connection with each other, as if they are their own family. But after this, the trust was never the same. Gone neighborhoods, once united by festivals, now divided by fear. What began as simmering tensions after Calcutta riots exploded into Target massacre. Armed mobs attacked Hindu villages. Men were butchered, women were raped, abducted, forcefully converted, temples burned into the ground, entire villages were wiped off from the map, and it wasn't violence, it was a systematic attempt to erase a community, and the historians call it as the Noakhali genocide. I mean, guys, this Direct Action Day happened in August 16, 1946. Just after 2 months, 16 October 1946, Noha Khali genocide happened. It was the day when Bengali community celebrate Kojaguri Lokhi Pujo, to be precise. The Noha Khali, the village was totally burned. It was not just burned, it was destroyed by killing, butchering the heads of the Hindu men, converting the Hindu women were getting raped and what not. It was really horrific, to be honest. And I mean, official British reports, they say that, but survivor accounts still have a chilling tale that thousands were killed, countless displaced, entire Hindu population were forced to flee, and the history buried this day under silence. But silence is dangerous, we all know that. This isn't a story of direct action day, the day Calcutta was burned. I mean, do you think that what was the tragedy, a political strategy gone wrong, or deliberate spark to partition of India? Until then, remember that some dates are not just history, they are the warnings. The root cause, the demand for partition, the Muslim League's call for Pakistan had lit a fire that spread uncontrollably. Direct action days showed how fragile the Bengal was. Families hiding under beds, hearing mobs break door, and Hindus dragged out of homes, Muslims hunted in retaliation. Neighborhoods split forever. British police either overwhelmed or indifferent. Direct action day didn't just kill people, it killed the trust, as I mentioned before. So, yeah. And also talking about now focusing on the Noakhali genocide. It was like in the Noakhali village, which is now in Bangladesh, which was back then in East Bengal. The Hindu minority were attacked by the Muslim mobs. And as I mentioned, there were a lot of horrific incidents that happened on the same day. So there was this one survivor whose narration I heard. They said that they came at night with torches and they tied my brother to a tree and set him on fire. They took my sister away and we never saw him again. Noakhali wasn't just a riot, it was a genocide. Noakhali proved that it wasn't just riot, it was ethnic cleansing. And yeah, the British was so desperate to leave India that it let it burn, divide, and rule until the very last day. The message was very clear that Hindus and Muslims could no longer live together in Bengal. And also, the partition of Bengal in 1947 became inventable. Direct Action Day and Noakhali were not just some mere events. They were the warnings of partition nightmare, a glimpse of the bloodshed to come. And yes, West Bengal stayed with India, East Bengal became a part of Pakistan, now Bangladesh. The survivors carried the trauma for generations. The history almost buried in their stories. And yeah, August 16 and October 1946, two dates that Bengal can never forget. One was the Great Calcutta killings, another was the Noakhali genocide. So I would have a question for you guys. Do you ask yourself that why don't we read these stories in our history textbooks, and why are these tragedies are missing from a public memory? Maybe because the truth itself is so uncomfortable, and maybe because silence is easier than guilt. This was the story of Bengal's forgotten nightmares, direct action day, and Noakhali genocide. So, were these just rights or carefully engineered chapters of partition? So, that's all from our side, guys. Let us know your thoughts and stay tuned until next week. Until then, remember, history doesn't just live in books, it lives in the scars. So, this was from our side. Share your thoughts with us and stay tuned for our next deep dive into the hidden files. And this was our Likely Sisters, a tale of five Digital Naaris signing off. Until then, we will meet you with the next podcast in the weekend. Stay tuned and bye.